I want to say it. I would love to see. He's not a young up and coming fighter, but I'd love to see McGregor come back.
These are moments that shape you because of not just the fights themselves, but what you had to go through to get to those fights.
I think you should defend it against me at 170 if you ask me, man. That's what should happen.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside the Cage, where we bring you the latest and exciting updates of UFC. First, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Jake Paul cheers PFL's Saudi Arabia deal amid UFC stock drop. Recently, Jake Paul, aka the Problem Child, wasted no time to recall a rematch earlier this year. Interestingly, Jake had enjoyed the limelight after his victory over Nate Diaz in a high-profile boxing match. After his win, Diaz has hinted that he might return to the UFC later this year. Quite interesting. Regardless of who Jake Paul faces in his MMA debut, it's going to be a massive event. Now, here's where it gets even more intriguing. The Professional Fighters League, PFL, has been making some significant moves lately. They've signed big names like Francis Ngannou and Savannah Marshall this year. But the real game changer was when Saudi Arabia invested over $100 million into the PFL, and they're going to underwrite the company's 2024 pay-per-view events. That's a huge deal. Now, he used his Twitter account and stated, "It is not sustainable to pay fighters less than 20% of revenue and fully control their services like they are employees. Fighters are the IP, pay them or free them. They put their lives on the line for you to make money. Oh, and there is the class action lawsuit. Big business." However, Jake Paul celebrated the PFL's big deal and even mentioned the ongoing antitrust lawsuit against the UFC. A federal judge recently allowed the billion-dollar lawsuit to proceed, potentially benefiting over 1,000 fighters in a class action. So it's safe to say Jake Paul is enjoying the drama in the world of combat sports. Jon Jones appreciates McGregor for MMA's success. In the world of combat sports, it's pretty cool to see how much respect UFC heavyweight world champion Jon Jones has for Conor McGregor. Usually, these two have been huge names in the MMA world for over a decade. Jon Jones, also known as Bones, has been dominating the competition since his debut more than 15 years ago at UFC 87. And if we talk about his previous record, he's won titles in both the light heavyweight and heavyweight divisions, and many consider him one of the greatest fighters ever. And here the Irish sensation enters into the showdown, Conor McGregor. He became a two-division world champion, holding titles in featherweight and lightweight divisions at the same time. In a recent episode of the Overdogs podcast, Jon Jones gave his statement about McGregor, even though he had nothing but good things to say about Conor McGregor. He mentioned how McGregor has played a pivotal role in pushing the sport forward like no one else before him.
I want to say it. I would love to see. He's not a young up and coming fighter, but I'd love to see McGregor come back.
Yeah.
He will always get my pay-per-view. But
You're damn right.
I love what he did for the sport. I love the businessman that he is, the mindset, the marketability. I mean, he fast-forwarded this whole game up at least 10 years, I feel. And he's always going to have my support. He'll always get my pay-per-view buy.
Meanwhile, Jon Jones is all about McGregor coming back. He's totally into what McGregor did for the sport. Jon Jones convinced a fact about McGregor that he is the one who fast-forwarded this game for at least 10 years. Isn't it great to see the positive side of fighters, even with all the fighting and trash talk? Adesanya, ready to face Strickland at UFC 293. It is expected that Israel Adesanya's upcoming middleweight title defense is just a few days away now. Yes, you heard that right. It is all set for September 9th at the Kudos Bank Arena in Australia, not too far from his home in Auckland, New Zealand. Here, the last stylebender is once again headlining the event, and this time, he's facing the always controversial Sean Strickland. In a recent talk with Nick Hobbs of Sky Sports, Adesanya explained his experience facing Pereira and how those tough fights have shaped him. It was a pretty intense showdown at that time. Well, Adesanya opened up about the profound impact experiences have on a person's life, especially the more extreme ones. He clearly explained how such moments have played a significant role in shaping his perspective and resilience.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Experiences like that shape you. Experiences in general shape you, but those ones are really extreme. The one where I lost on the biggest stage, on one of the biggest stages in the world, Madison Square Garden in New York, and I'm just like, I'm okay.
He continued,
and the last one where I shocked the world. And then my people who really love me felt the happiness I was talking about in that moment because I share that with the world. And yeah, that was something, man. These are moments that shape you because of not just the fights themselves, but what you had to go through to get to those fights.
All in all, Adesanya shared some pretty deep thoughts about his experiences in the fighting with Sean Strickland. He talked about the time he shocked everyone with a big win and how it made his fans feel so happy. Also, he made it clear that it's not just the fights that shape him, but his hard work and challenging environment transformed him.
I still tapped into that a little bit. Like, I feel like this is a violent game, so you need a little bit of some darkness to be able to get through this. It's not all sunshine and rainbows and martial arts and bow and sometimes it's trying to fight me, to kill me, to take, things that I've worked for my whole life. I got to get nasty with that person, so I have to tap into that darkness a little bit.
As Israel Adesanya gears up for his fight with Sean Strickland in Australia, he's still riding the wave of happiness from his win over Alex Pereira. It is going to be an interesting clash, for sure. Guys, if you're enjoying the video, we'd love your support. Just hit that subscribe button to motivate us to bring you more exciting content. Aftermaths of UFC Paris, Gane versus Spivak. Here, a showdown of Gane versus Spivak is happening live from Accor Arena in Paris, France on September 2nd. The main event is going to be a heavyweight showdown featuring the #2 ranked contender and interim champ Cyril Gane from France, who's had a couple of shots at the major title. He's up against the #7 ranked Sergey Spivak from Moldova. 5 rounds of heavyweight action, that's bound to be explosive. But that's not all. The co-main event is a women's flyweight bout, with Manon Fiorot from France taking on the former 2-time strawweight champ Rose Namajunas, representing the United States. 2 skilled fighters going head-to-head, and the excitement doesn't stop there. Benoit Saint-Denis from France faces off against Thiago Moises from Brazil in the lightweight division. Plus, Volkan Oezdemir from Switzerland is going to trade blows with Bogdan Guskov from Uzbekistan in the light heavyweight category. For some all-French action, Yanis Gamouri and William Gomis are meeting at bantamweight, and there's also a featherweight bout between Morgan Charrier from France and Manolo Zucchini from Italy. For our fellows in Australia, remember that the event will air live on Sunday, September 3rd, so get ready for an epic night of fights. Masvidal challenges Gaethje for BMF title. Last but not least, Jorge Masvidal is open to making a return to the UFC, but there's a catch. He wants to face Justin Gaethje for the BMF belt. It's all pretty interesting. In a recent discussion with ESPN, he showed his thoughts on who should fight whom in the sport. He thinks that if he were to come back to fighting, it would be a good idea for someone like Kamaru Usman to defend his title against him at 170. However, he emphasized that his return to fighting is still uncertain, but he never rules it out because he loves the sport. Meanwhile, he also gave his perspective on Justin Gaethje, praising him for his fearless attitude. According to him, Gaethje's willingness to take on any opponent, regardless of their fighting style, is what makes him a bad mother effer in the sport. He believes that fighters like Gaethje should stay active and keep facing the world's best, irrespective of their specialties, be it wrestling or striking. For Masvidal, it's all about the mentality of taking on any challenge that comes your way.
I think you should defend it against me at 170. If you ask me, man, that's what should happen. If I was to come back to the sport, that's a big if. But
is that something that we could see?
Stay active. No, that's something in the future. I never knock off coming back to fighting because I love fighting. Right here. I love fighting. It's my favorite pastime. It's my favorite sport. It's my way of life. So I can never say I'm not going to fight. But I think Gaethje should just stay active, really. Fight, keep fighting, stay competing, stay fighting the world's best, because that's what a bad mother is supposed to do. Take them all on. I never said I'm not fighting this guy because he's a high-level grappler, or this guy because he's a fucking better striker than me. It's like one or all. They're all the same to me. And Gaethje pretty much has that attitude. That's why he's a bad mother. Because he fights. He's not ducking nobody. That guy literally will fight anybody. A wrestler, striker, jiu-jitsu guy. He takes them all, and that's a big requirement.
Well, Masvidal is currently out of the USADA testing pool, and he's not exactly sure when or if he'll jump back in. But, and this is a big but, if he does decide to return to the pool and make a comeback to the octagon, he's definitely up for the challenge of trying to reclaim the BMF belt from Gaethje. So there's some potential excitement brewing there if Masvidal decides to make a comeback. All right, guys, that's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. See you at the next one. Until then, goodbye.